Waveline, presented by Ocean Lending. Thanks for tuning in to the Waveline. My name is James Edwards. I'm the CEO here at Ocean Lending. I'm sitting here with Rio, one of our top loan officers. Rio, thank you for joining me today.
Good. Thank you.
I want to talk about and share with all of the viewers out there the mortgage process. It's kind of a complicated process, yet it's very simple. And if you know what you're doing, it's very simple. If you have no idea which way to turn, each time that we have something new come and hit the application, then you could be confused, frightened, and you could have some sort of fear. It's our job as loan officers or professionals, credit managers, whatever you want to call us, to make sure that people are taken care of during that process. And I just wanted to talk about a couple of the bullet points, if you will, from cradle to grave on that application process. You want to take a ride with me?
No, yeah, sounds good.
Sounds good. So what are some of the metrics that helps in getting the best mortgage loan? What would you say as far as like people's equity, credit, income? Like, are all of them? Is there any one specific, or are any of them weighted any differently? What would you say?
I think they're all graded pretty equally, I would say, but they're all tied down to it, right? So if some people are having a good credit, then most likely they may have good income. But people will probably know just overall. But I think the main key factor is probably credit score.
Right.
I mean, depends on purchase and refi.
And
right?
equity, I guess.
Yeah, and an equity position too. Are they in the good place where they have a good equity, right? And those are things that we could talk about purchase too, right? Finding the right purchase location for them.
Right. Mm-hmm. Now, I know that there's some other lenders out there, we've talked about this before, that they get turned down at other lenders. What makes us different here? What are some of the things that we do, even though you may be turned down today, we could draw a roadmap for you?
No, yeah, exactly. So the difference between big lenders and Ocean Lending, we talked about it before, is the fact that if you do not qualify, most places do not give you the action plan, which we do here, whether using credit tools and say, hey, you need to pay these things, and look, it's actually closer than you think. Or, hey, these things we need to fix. But the biggest factor is probably credit score. Those are things that are a quick fix. And then I think a lot of loan officers are not taking advantage of tools, or they may not have the tools or the time.
Right. And they don't take the time. I know a lot of loan officers, they pull credit. They want to see what a credit score is, but they don't take the time to actually go through the actual trade lines with them. I know it could be a painful process for, a borrower or a homeowner to listen to their credit, because they always think that they have the perfect credit, and then come to find out, oh yeah, there was this one thing, or I had, some sort of fraud, or, identity theft or whatever. And they don't want to relive those moments in their life, but the credit report pretty much tells a complete story of what they went through. So, if you take the time to go through that credit report, people can have a better understanding, good or bad, and then they know where to go from there.
Right. And then also approved or not approved, it doesn't matter when they come in, it's all in one spot. So whether we submit the loan, great. If not, at least we have a solution to any possible situation you have. So you have no, obligations, or you don't have to be afraid. And I think it gives a peace of mind at the end of the day, because lender, it sounds credit pull, it sounds kind of sensitive and scary for most people, even for myself as a consumer.
Right.
So when you go talk to that person, hey, I'm going to talk to Rio, James, anybody at Ocean Lending, I know I don't need to know everything, but just to be doing the process with them, and then they will find me the right direction, or at least point me in the right direction. I think that's the biggest difference with Ocean Lending.
Right. It's trust. I mean, there is a big level of trust. You have to trust people, but more importantly, people want to know why they need to trust you, and you need to come up with, explain to me where we're at right now, make it make sense to me. And I think if you can do that, gain someone's trust, and they say, oh, this guy really knows what he's talking about, then the process is going to get a lot easier, because you're going to go through that process, and you're going to get an educational piece from it too.
Yeah, and not everyone's cookie cutter, right? So it's that's one of the reasons why we have our job today, because it's very tailored to one specific person. So when it comes down to big lenders, I think they kind of follow these cookie cutter guidelines, or I guess rules. So then as soon as they don't fit in that bubble, they just say no. And then I think those people get left behind. But I think those are the people we really, really need to help.
Right.
Those people who need,
Right.
you know?
Let's kind of deep dive a little bit into this application process, like I was saying before. So let's go cradle to grave here. What is something that you need to make sure, if you are a client, that you need to make sure that you have kind of your ducks in a row so that, A, you can go through the mortgage process smoothly and efficiently, and B, you can make sure that you're getting the best deal, or if you're trying to shop and get a loan, that you can ensure that you're getting the best loan out there. What would you say you would need?
I think just the basic foundation, right? Because if you're going to talk to a professional, you need to be able to have certain things, like you need to actually have your,
Tax returns.
Yeah, tax returns.
W-2s.
Right.
Pay stubs, mortgage statement, insurance. If you have all that bundled together, you kind of have like a total package of what you're worth and what you qualify for, right?
Right. But it's funny because I get a lot of calls, and I've been helping, people for over 5 years, with these mortgage stuff, right? And it is a lot of heavy lifting, like you mentioned. But I always tell my clients there's 10 things we have to do to get you to approve, right? First thing is you give me a call, and 9 of them, I'll take care of it, right? That's kind of the mindset.
It's funny you say that, because all clients are all borrowers, which eventually become our friends. They're all snowflakes. They are all different in one way. I'm not calling them snowflakes in any different sense of the word, but like they're shaped differently, and we have to shape their loans differently. Although they may think that it's all a cookie cutter process. A lot of times it's a lot of different paperwork and a lot of different processes to the back end. So
tailoring,
right?
Customers tailor. I mean, even your suits, I'm pretty sure those are customs.
Yeah. Well, I'm a pretty big guy, so I have to go custom. It doesn't fit.
Right. So just like the person who customized it, you really value those service, right? So that's the only difference. I mean, that's one of the reason with Ocean Lending and big lenders. We'll custom tailor for you.
Right. And that's how you can decide who you're going to use. It's got to be a fit. Maybe it's not Ocean Lending. We always hope that it is, but you got to trust the person. You got to feel comfortable during the process, and you need to communicate. I think communication is one of the biggest key factors. When you lose communication, or even if someone goes dark on you, or they feel like you went dark on them, then they're not going to be comfortable during the process. It's going to be a bad experience.
Right. I mean, if you are looking for a VIP experience, just think of that, right?
Right.
I mean, everything's digital, but we're getting the red carpet for that person.
Right.
So all you have to do is walk, and then we'll do the heavy lifting. That's kind of the mindset that I have, and I think you guys have too.
So after a client gets all this documentation together, what's the best way to securely provide that to your loan officer? I know we have some different tools here. What do you recommend?
I mean, I think the best thing is we have a Ellie Mae portal. So we give you a link, and then you could just create your profile. And then on the online portal, you could actually upload all your documents.
Right.
Or email.
Right. Exactly. Go directly through Ellie Mae, which is our loan origination software, and upload all your documents. You can fax it as well. Everything is pretty much coded through fax. Or we do have a secure email server, but then, you just want to make sure you're getting your documents out to the right person and they're arriving securely and safely, which is something that we take a lot of pride in, and we're monitored on the state level.
Yeah, of course. And a lot of people don't realize this, but even iPhones and these smartphones, they have a good camera quality, and they actually have these. You could take a photo to document, so they could text, and it already comes in like a PDF file.
And I guess what they can expect from their loan officer or their credit manager from that point forward is communication.
That is correct.
Yeah,
right.
So you're going to submit everything to the processor. The processor is going to take all that documentation, process it, organize it, and submit it to an underwriter so that you can get your formal approval. But during that process, if you have a good loan officer, then they're going to communicate exactly what they're doing, that you got the approval, and what to expect from there. And that off of that approval, there's going to be conditions.
Right.
And you're going to have to satisfy those conditions, which a lot of times people think, I sent you everything already. Well, a lot of times when you send things in, it generates a couple more questions. Oh, you got this deposit, or you get paid this certain way. Let's get a letter of explanation, or maybe a clear copy of something.
Right.
And then we can clear that formal approval. Once that formal approval's cleared, let's talk about what's required from that point. An LE, a CD, a lot of people don't even know what those terms mean.
You know, like I personally call when you get into that second stage,
Right.
and then literally go one by one on the conditions.
Touch base, let them
Right.
know what's going on.
Right. And when people say letter of explanation, what does that mean? So these are things that I literally tell them how much you know.
And what we could help them out with that.
Right. So I always have the halfway point call with the
Right.
client to make sure that we're on the same page, but also, hey, you know, I'm going to hold your hand.
Right.
Again, from the
We're
start.
the professional, so
Right.
that's what they expect. You know, they want the service, just like in any industry. I mean, and during this process is also kind of a dual process. That's also when the appraisal's been ordered, and we're waiting on a third party, which that can kind of make your loan process take a little bit longer. But sometimes we've been getting a lot of PIWs, or property inspection waivers, so you don't have to go through that process or even pay for the appraisal.
Right. So those are a good thing. But like you said, I think there's not a misconception of people think that if I go to the loan officer bank is going to take care of everything, but they don't understand that there are third party things like title, appraisal,
Escrow.
right? Yeah, escrow, all these things needs to come back because we're digital doing numbers. So it's pretty cut and dry here.
Right.
Right. And I think that's the part that may take longer. Right. And I think those are the place that we really explain to them up front during the initial call.
Let me ask you this. That whole process that we described, and we went into a lot of different little rabbit holes of each one of those, what would you say, and you work here at Ocean Lending,
Right.
Best and worst case scenario, how long does that process take? I mean, let's just say you had a PIW or you didn't need an appraisal because you had a property inspection waiver versus, you know, you had to have an appraisal where it could be in Arizona where they're taking 2 weeks to get appraisals back, or Oregon where they're taking 3 weeks to get an appraisal back. What would you say the total from cradle to grave time is, best and worst case scenario?
I mean, best case scenario, I've probably done it like 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks tops. And most of the other clients are within 30 days, so they make maybe 5-6 weeks. But it really depends on the location too, because it's not just, we're a bank. So as a lender, we could be able to approve you right away. That's why we're submitting in the first place. Yeah. But it does vary, depends on, there's a lot of factors. It's not so much about the client. They could be a perfect credit candidate, but it could be because of location where they're at. The appraisals are busy, titles are busy, because they're also helping other lenders.
Third
as well.
party, we're waiting, and that's things that you don't have to control over.
Right. So it varies, but the one thing that I could be sure about is the lending side of it, that we're pretty quick on it. So at least you know yes or no right away.
Right. One thing I can be sure about is if a client works with Rio, they're going to give you a good review.
Oh, yeah.
We've seen a lot. If you go online, you'll see you have a lot of good reviews on there. You've worked with a lot of clients, and people, when they work with you once, they usually work with you again, right?
Yeah. I even had a very high up person working in the government was asking for your phone number, and I'm kind of sweating.
I remember that.
You have to see what did I do wrong here, right? And then
an FBI agent, no less.
Right.
Yeah.
And he's a negotiator, right?
Yeah.
Kind of the Chris Voss of the negotiator.
Turned out to be a good phone call.
Yeah.
After all.
I hope so. That's what you've been telling me, right? I don't know behind the door, closed door.
Right. Well, I would have told you.
Yeah.
Well, anyways, I really appreciate you helping me explain to all the listeners out there the mortgage process. And if anyone has any other questions, please go to www.oceanlending.com, and we're going to see you next time. This is James Edwards signing off from The Waveline. For more information, please reach out to us at www.oceanlending.com.